Hello and welcome back into another episode of the Countess in podcast. And this is episode number 41. I'm Jamie Joyner, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely fellow co-hosts, Mr. Matthew Lacey. How you doing?
Jamie, Harry, how are we? Good, thanks. Hi, everyone.
Good. And Mr. Harry Sermon.
Hello. Good evening, all.
Hey.
One and all.
Are you doing good?
Yeah,
we're
man.
all well. We're all well.
Yeah.
We're back from our travels at the drum show. You could say that was the last time we all were together.
2 weeks now. 2 weeks since the show.
Nearly, yeah. By the time this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks since the show.
It's only been 1 week at the time recording this. Wow, I'm really off of all my time.
Yeah.
That's the case. Gosh,
A long
so
week.
much has happened. That's crazy.
No, it was a good, fun episode. We did. Thanks to Kim from Music Workshop and to Rich for being the guests, our first guests on the podcast and reflecting on day one.
Yeah,
and
great.
I think day two pretty much went to plan, didn't it, for most of us? I think reflecting back on it.
I think so. Yeah, it was brilliant. Wasn't
managed
it?
to keep my hands in my
considerably more
pocket.
tired on day two than day one, but
100%.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah,
No, it was good.
It was a good show this year. Really good show this year.
Yeah.
Saw a lot more. I don't know. I think we kind of talked about before trying to see a lot more of the show because we spent, collectively last year, well, now 2 years ago, last year, mostly in the education room because that was, sort of unanimously where we all pretty much wanted to be. I think, Matt, you dipped out to a person here or there.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely felt like I saw a lot more of the show this year. Spent a bit more time, on the floor. And yeah, sort of went to the main stage. We saw Keith Carlock, which was brilliant. And yeah, it felt like I got more of the show this year, even though I wouldn't say this was better or worse than last year or, the same. It felt like I just got more drum show this year, which was nice.
Yeah. Although saying that, when I saw some of the social media stuff that the drum show released after the event, like the recap videos and the bits they put, I thought, I'm looking at stuff in the video going, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I think that half of the year they put a thing out, and it's like there was so much that went on. I was like, that could have been a completely different drum show, and you wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I think I saw the Vater stand on the drummers and had quite a big corner of the room again, didn't they? But I didn't even go around the kits. Didn't even look at the Paiste cymbals.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, they had all that kit. Maybe it's because I'm not really a Mapex. Drawn to it, and the Sakai stuff I'm not my bag, so maybe I just discounted it. But I looked at the vintage stuff, rusty drum stuff this year, and just to get a vibe on that.
Yeah,
but,
we spent a long time at the Vater booth, didn't we? We spent a long time at the Vater booth this year, which is nice. You guys
that was also
sort of,
partly because I wanted to ask a question about sticks, and it was noisy time, and we had to just wait for about 10 minutes for the entire place to gradually stop so that I could actually have a conversation with someone.
Yeah. That was like 3:00 on Sunday as well, so they were like so done with it, But
everyone was so done with it by then.
Yeah, to be fair to them, they were just as helpful and friendly, and like we had a great chat with them all, and it was great. It was a great stand.
I think we need, because I think you bought 2 pairs, Jay, didn't you? And I bought a pair, so we ended up getting the deal. We got a bit of money off, and you got a free cap or something because we bought 3 pairs. Right, Between us, we bought 3 pairs, but we were all there collectively for about 15 minutes. It was I think it was a good job we did buy something.
Yeah.
Just for the time and effort they all put in. And then what's his name came over and I'm like, oh, I recognise these 3. He said, don't let them leave.
They come as a
and then it was funny as well because you guys were in and ahhing about sort of sizes 5B, 5A, 5B, this, that. And then I don't know how I must have probably brought up the Manhattan 7A of some kind. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he was really funny. It was really helpful. And he was like, it's a great stick. Just get a 7A. If not, if you can't decide, get a 7A. And like, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes would go by and just get a 7A. And it came up like so much, And then at the end, I think you guys had already sort of wandered off. But he said to me, he was like, hey, stick to that, don't forget. And I was like, don't forget, mate, 7A.
7A.
That's the one.
Maybe.
It was good fun.
I bought a pair of those. I got those.
What did you get, Matt?
You got Matrix. How are you finding
Matrix? Yeah, I used a bit on my pad, and I played them at a rehearsal the other night. And yeah, they're good. They're probably they're probably just a shade thinner, I think, than the NE1. I know that Vetasay, I think, is it the 9, can't remember, the 9A or something, was the equivalent to the NE1 in terms of the shaft diameter?
Yeah, because we should probably say that the guys that we were chatting with worked for Korg, because Korg have now taken over the UK distribution of Veta.
Yeah.
So they were basically saying, like, they had like a sort of basically a preference sheet of a lot of sort of popular sticks from other brands. To sort of compare. They're like, we've literally we've done the merge like a month ago. We're still new to all the models, so we're trying to compare, because people are asking us, exactly the questions that, we were saying, how does it compare to this? And just because of the time that has passed, they didn't really sort of know the lines inside out yet. So,
no.
Yeah. Sorry,
but
Karen.
No, fair. That's good context, Harry. Thank you, mate. It's so it's perhaps just a little. It looks to the eye the same width as an NE1, but I think it's just a touch thinner. But it's got the tapers more like what you know as standard 5B, but it's got a barrel tip. So it does feel a little bit more forward weighted. So I'm still kind of weighing up that. I rehearsed yesterday back with my NE1s because I've got a couple of gigs with them coming up, but I'm still kind of dipping my toe in. I'm using them when I'm teaching. I'm playing with them, just getting used to them. But yeah, they do feel a little bit more. Imagine just a slightly thicker 5A rather than be a specific between a 5A and a 5B with a thinner taper.
Almost like a heavier 5A, like a heavier batch of 5As.
Yeah, heavier 5A. But yeah, they're nice. I mean, actually, because it has got a slightly thicker taper, or the taper's later on the stick, for a lot of kind of bell work, there's just a little bit more meat there if I'm playing on the ride, which is giving me a slightly thicker tone, which is quite nice, I think.
Would you consider, because I know that you're quite into, at least I don't know if you still are, you were at one point, sort of alternating sticks depending on the sort of musical application. Would you sort of favour that maybe in your sort of jazz stuff versus the rock stuff? Or
well, funnily enough, I'm now not playing the modern jazz classic. I'm playing the NE1 on everything.
Right. Okay.
My jazz, I've just put a couple of jazz clips up, and I did a gig the other week, the jazz gig, and I played NE1s the whole gig.
Right.
Just in terms of, I now feel far more comfortable with that stick. And having the slightly like that between 5A 5B butt end, and the taper being as it is with that barrel tip, I thought I'm not, and those other ones, they just feel too thin now. Being honest, I feel far more comfortable. So I probably wouldn't play the Veta Matrix in a jazz setting, but probably if I'm playing a full on rock covers gig.
Okay, yeah.
That's probably where I might use them a bit more, just because they've got a bit more meat on the taper.
Yeah, okay.
And like I talked about playing the ride. And they are just a bit thicker than a 5A, which I'm kind of really liking. So, yeah, I'm not sure yet I'm going to be 100% converted to them. I'm kind of still looking for another stick in the range, which is does a little bit more of what I want. But they seem to be playing well. They seem to dent, but don't seem to, no splinters, nothing, not the same telltale signs that I've had with other stuff. So, yeah, really good. Worth kind of pursuing and kind of chatting through it all. And they're doing well. Yeah, good.
Splendid.
Yeah. Anyway, it's probably enough about my one pair of sticks. So that was it. Yeah, we had a good show. Got some photos, caught up with loads of people. Day 2 was tiring. Managed to see Kenny Aronoff at the end, counting out loud. It was all excellent stuff.
Good weekend.
And I don't think any of us bought anything on the Sunday, did they? I
bought a t-shirt.
Other than little
t-shirt
and things.
Yeah. Bought a Ludwig t-shirt. That was nice.
T-shirt.
I've worn that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very nice. I wish I bought some heads, because I need to get a new head for a snare that I'm using this weekend, and I'm like, it's been really tricky to A, find it with good delivery, and B, make sure that it gets here in time. And I knew that head was there at the drum show, and I don't know why I didn't go pick it up. I'm now paying like probably 10 quid more, for it. But I wish, I should have bought. I should have bought some drum heads. I think we all had felt a little bit spent out come the Sunday, you know.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I'll be fine, you know. And yeah, here we are, like a week later, being like, nope, you know.
So talking of new heads and stuff, should we segue nicely into our first little segment that I think we're going to call new stuff.
Something new.
Something new. There we go. Yeah. Something. Now this is something we might bring up in every episode. It might be every other or third episode, or whatever. But
I don't know if we're going to have a new something for every episode.
Well, we might.
Past us, but
no, exactly.
It's not encouraging.
But I think to contextualize, it doesn't necessarily have to be new gear, does it? We talked about it. Might be that we've got a new project on the go. It might be that we're listening to new music. It might be we've experienced some new teaching stuff, or we've it's something new that we are looking into and exploring. And as it happens, because off the back of the drum show, we have
it's
actually
got. Shiny.
I think we've got some new shiny stuff, haven't we? That you talked about heads that you bought. Jay, you got. Now I'm gonna get this right. Zildjian 20-inch K thin crash.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, paper thin.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like speaking a foreign language to me.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed, man.
You've had a play with that, rehearsed with it, or had a session with it?
I've had a little jam with it. Took it down to my little sort of teaching recording space and had a little session there. Rocked out with it, recorded some videos. Really, really loved that. It'd been about a week after getting back from the show, so I was itching to play it. So that was great. And then I took it out on a gig over the weekend, and it basically just replaced my 18-inch K Custom Hybrid Crash, which I've been playing since I was about 16 or something like that. So it's a symbol I've had on my kit for a long time, and it just gives it that sort of dark, washy sound, but also kind of cuts through a little bit. Really complimented my other cymbals I was using, and just sounded like a Crash. And I was like, that was exactly what I wanted.
That's what you want.
Chuffed with it, and it'll be on a lot more of the different gigs, and with probably a few different bands that I'm playing with. I don't think it will change much. I think it's going to be pretty versatile. So
amazing,
loving it.
Cool.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, super cool.
Wicked.
But I wasn't the only one to get some cymbals.
Fantastic.
Harry, how are you finding your K-Cons?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got. I forget. I got. I think actually, I think not to jump ahead, but I think what we said in the episode. I think we all ended up buying almost exactly what we said.
Yeah.
We'll have to cross reference that, but So I got the K-Con Constantinople 22 overhammered thin ride. Which is it's wicked. It is fantastic. And literally as soon as we hit it, I say I hit it, and we were all sort of gathered, with Kyle as well. It was like, even though again it was like big bashy time, and the room was so ridiculously loud, it still managed to cut through and just be.
Even the guy in the booth was just like, that's one of the nicest cymbals here, wasn't he?
It's the one. Yeah, he did kind of want it, but no chance. But it's nice. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I think that I had a rehearsal the day after the drum show, which, as tired as I was excited to play. But as soon as sort of 10:30 came around, I was like, enough drums. But I played it a few times, and it's really, really good. I really, really like it. As I was saying to you the other day, Jay, I'm really looking forward to sort of trying it with a couple of different combinations. I had it with my other K-Con, and I think it was a little bit too much of like the darkness, not the band, a little bit just too much in the low end. When you sort of, you have a dark cymbal, that one dark cymbal that then just makes the whole sort of situation really dark. Yeah. And I think it was a little bit of that. I don't think. What I also had was, which I also brought at the drum show, was a 16-inch K-Con Crash that I use as a top hi-hat. So I had that, big sort of low, deep hi-hats with probably two of the lowest Zildjian cymbals that you can possibly purchase.
Yeah.
So the whole vibe was, full on, no clarity whatsoever in that regard. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think in that sort of situation, if I was going to use those two rides, maybe my light hats would be maybe a better fit. But again, it kind of depends on the music, and so I'm excited to kind of get into a room and just kind of lay everything out on the floor and go, right, what about this with this and that with there, and I've got a couple of different kind of music situations coming up. We've got a studio session this weekend, so I'm going to put all of it through the ringer to see what's going to be, what can work and what doesn't. And I think that's the beauty also of options, not to go on too long here, but the more pieces you add to the puzzle, the more combinations you can make. Nothing is right or wrong, but it's really nice to be like, well, I can use that here, or what about that? And this could be this band setup, or that can be that band setup.
Yeah.
So, it's really awesome. And I'm looking forward to kind of getting to know them with the rest of the bunch as well down the line.
Yeah, cool.
So it's all good. What about you, Matt? You got a trusty bit of equipment that I think we can all forget sometimes.
Yeah, I got my bass pedal. So I know we talked about this very briefly on episode 40, but yeah, I got my DW5000, got it home, weighed up a few bits and bobs on it, whether to put the extra weight that comes with it on the shaft. I've got a couple of extra beaters anyway, so I just checked they all fitted. I had a little play with it at home on my electric kit, but I've now been out. I gigged with it actually on the Tuesday after the show. I had a jazz gig. I thought, do I want to play a DW5000 on a jazz gig? But it said in the instructions, yes, because I did read the instructions, listener, and apparently you put your foot on that bit at the front.
Instructions.
I know, but as you two both said as well, I didn't bother messing with the spring tension or anything. I just played it out the box, as it were, and I just put it on my. I think I sent you a photo. No, I could have put it on my Gretsch Catalina, like 18-inch kick, and I just put my felt beater on it, and I played. I played a 90-minute, 245s jazz set with it. And at no point was I ever conscious of it. It just fitted in. It was like I wasn't thinking about, I didn't have to get used to the pedal. It was straight off the bat. So it was really great. And then I've now taken it and done a rehearsal with Montgomery Slacks. So it's heavier blues stuff. And that was with a 22 kick at the rehearsal studio, so not mine. It was just like, and I actually put the DW beater on. Normally I use like a wood beater, but I put the DW on just to try it. And it's mega. This is great. Nice. And I know I'd struggle with the old one because I've got like this nervous tick now where after a song, I was bending down to check the pedal and make sure it was tight on the hoop.
Gone are those days.
Oh yeah, it's
no worries.
It's not
solid
moved.
As a rock.
Yeah.
And that was a kind of a habit I was in. So after the second, third song, I'm like, no, it's fine. And I realised I've just been doing that. It's now become an habitual thing to check the pedal every 2 songs or make sure that everything's okay.
Yeah.
And now as I went through it, we did like a 4-hour rehearsal. So we played our set. We got like a 75-minute set. We played it through twice from top to bottom.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like it didn't move. And it took me till the end of that 4-hour rehearsal to be really comfortable with I don't need to keep checking it now.
Yeah, nice.
Which is exactly what I wanted from that pedal, So that's solid. Since I got back from the show...
A few other bits, right?
Yeah, so Evans I couldn't find Evans at the show. I don't believe they were there.
They had some electric kits, maybe. Or
they had electric, like sensitive
couldn't see anything else.
Head
yeah,
thing.
but I wanted some heads. So I've been, although I do remember on a previous episode saying at some point, well, I've got a black kit and I don't think white drum heads look good on a black kit, so I'd always have clears. I have bought G2 coated heads. So I've got my debut gig coming up with my originals band, Montgomery Slacks, and I played the studio I recorded with G12s, which are the single coated clear, but for the live stuff, and I think some of the single coat stuff, they're just not taking the punishment that I'm giving them. I thought I should play lighter and let the marks do the work. No, turns out I still hit them as hard. So I just want a little bit more tone, a bit more control, a bit more depth from the sound. So I've not bought a full set. I've not bought the 8-inch because I don't need that yet. But I bought 10, 12, 14, 16. G2s coated.
Nice.
And they're going to go on tomorrow because I've got a depth gig on Saturday, so I'm going to play them in, three of them anyway, there at that gig. And I wanted a cowbell for a couple of bits I've got with my original band, so I ended up buying the Mike Johnston signature.
Nice.
And does it?
Yeah.
Does that, am I right in thinking that comes with the little like mutes and things, like a little magnets?
Yeah, it comes with the two magnet mutes, which I think are part of the Benny Greb. I think they were something that Benny Greb developed, and they come with that. And I can confirm they do work, and they do make a difference. So nice. I actually put them inside the mouth of the bell, because I'm playing on the top. And I've experimented with putting them on the top, on the inside, and it just changed the overtone of the bell and dries it out quite a bit. So, and I did nearly bought one at the show. But quite honestly, I would have done if there'd been a bit of a show deal on them price wise, but they were RRP. So I wait till I got home, and then I ordered it from my local-ish drum shop because I thought, well, I've got to buy heads anyway. So I'll do that. Well. And
nice. Is that Rattle and Drum?
Rattle and Drum, Rattle and Drum. Shout out to them. Awesome service. I rang them up and just clarified a couple of bits I wanted to, and I almost took, because I've been weighing a lot of their minor stuff showing no stock, and I think it's because Minor had not told them when they were getting stuff. Because I nearly went for one of the other, like the 8-inch standard, if you like, cowbell, but I kind of qualified to myself that if I've got that Mike Johnston one, it's not. I can change what I do with it, so I can play it in a Latin jazz concert. And literally, listener, I had to kind of talk myself out loud to the guy at the shop and go, maybe I can use it for more than one thing, though. And he's like, well, yeah, you are. I says, maybe I'm getting two cowbells in one. He went, yeah, you could think of it like that. I thought, yeah, I'll buy it. So
put it in the box. Nice. Come on.
Yeah, put it in the box. Yeah.
Oh,
so so that's the new bits I've bought. I've still got to try these heads out. I'm quite looking forward to getting the G2s on and see how we go with those. But yeah, that's the new bits I've been playing with. So Wicked. I think we've got new stuff, and as and when listeners we get more new stuff, whether it be physical gear or, as I said, we maybe got a new project on the go, or we've been involved with another band or anything like that, anything we're listening to, anything we're learning, practicing, learning practice regimes. So we'll bring it up in a little segment.
I had the gig I just mentioned whilst on topic. The gig that I had the other day was with a new band, but it's like a little covers band. But
nice.
Also something new.
Yeah, cool.
Nothing overly exciting, just a new band.
New band, great. Yeah. Right. Another contact and another network, and good.
Only been rehearsing for a year, so it only took us like that on that.
Right.
Lots of other stuff going on, but
you've recouped all of that rehearsal money.
Oh, absolutely.
Already.
Yeah. The old pub where there was like about 5 people there. It was wonderful.
Yeah. And moving swiftly on then. More news. Harry, do you want to share a bit more about other plans we've got? So
an exciting addition to the Counters in podcast lineup. So we're going to do a YouTube channel. So there's going to be a YouTube page where we're going to post this video that you're seeing now. Hello YouTube.
Hello YouTube.
And all that. So you're going to be able to see us, actually, from the video that we normally record at. And we're going to do it in video form. And the plan is to be releasing that in the week in between each episode. So this episode comes out on the 18th of October. Quick maths there.
This Friday.
Or now if you listen to it on release day. And the YouTube one will come out on the 25th. 25th.
Yeah.
25th. I know that date because that's the last day of term.
18 plus 7.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you've noticed I've been yawning a lot, it's because it's near the end of term and I'm dying.
Yeah.
And it's also in the evening. The plan is to release them in the weeks off, in between the sort of the normal podcast, and then the YouTube will be the sort of in between. So essentially there is an episode every week. I think it's going to be fairly obvious that this YouTube one will be slightly different to the podcast format. The podcast one is edited to some degree, But yeah, this is you're going to get to see us and our literal facial reactions when Matt finally buys the light ride, and we'll be like, you know.
I want to know what my facial reaction is going to be that day.
Yeah. Internet.
yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that's the plan. That's a new exciting announcement, as we're going to do a YouTube channel. So this will be essentially the first episode on the YouTube channel.
Cool.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and episode 41, thanks everyone for the support so far and the listenership and the feedback and the people who said hello to us at the show. And
that was lovely.
Much appreciated.
Listeners around the show, that was really lovely hearing how they've enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, now we're 25 and a bit minutes in. We should really talk about the
main idea of this thing.
Yeah.
Which is, I can't remember.
Main topic. So weighing up if we should take a gig. Thought it would be an interesting little topic to discuss. I guess off the back of some conversations we'd been having sort of in between episodes, but just with the thought of there being so many different elements into picking up a gig. Harry was saying earlier that he did a gig 6 minutes from his house, and that is
the dream.
That is the dream. And weighing up if you should take a gig, that would tip the scales pretty securely in the yes category for me at least. But yeah, have you guys got any immediate big things that you're thinking about, especially when someone says, well, we all know that text that you get, which is, hey, are you free Saturday this date? And that's it. That's what you get. What goes through your head when you get that text from your friend?
Normally it's, I hope I'm free, because I want to add another gig to the diary, being honest. But I tend to, I normally I go back with, before I say yes or no, I'll say, what have you got in mind? I ask a question back, or
nice.
Yeah, what? Or I might say, what are you thinking? Or I won't say yes, why necessarily. Or I'll say I can be. It depends on, I might be busy in the morning. Depends what time you need me, or something like that, which just gives you just a little bit of context.
The wriggle room.
Wriggle room. Yeah. Not that I'm hoping. Obviously, let's be honest, guys. We want to work.
Oh,
100%. But I also do think that we've probably all been burned when we've just been like, I'm free. And they're like, great. And it's, kind of 2 hours away, and it's not great pay. And it's something you got to learn a whole set. And it's in a week or something. And you're like, oh, no, what have I done?
I mean, I've exactly that. Well, I was kind of in a bit of a situation where I got offered a gig because someone recommended me. And in that situation, you kind of, I can't speak for you guys. Be like, well, someone's recommended me. You want to do it because it might lead to more things, and it might be an opportunity to do it. And I says, where 100%. Is it? And it was a function gig at some castle. So I went to Google Maps. I thought, I don't really know that. Maybe I don't really know names of many places though. So maybe it's quite close. And it was like a 3.5 hour drive, 4 hour drive.
Oh God.
Up to past. So I'm Leicestershire, gents. Up. So going up to I want to say
Scotland or something like that.
Northumbria,
it must be close.
Northumberland, something like that.
Gosh.
It's past the lakes, for a function gig, and I got the vibe that everyone on the gig was it was like a scratch band dep call type, and quite honestly, the money wasn't poor, but for what would have been, an 8 hour drive and kind of learning the set in 4 days, I said, I'm sorry, it's too far for me. I can't get there.
Yeah.
I can't leave in time to get there in time. And then I'll be getting home at 4. The gig finishes at midnight, pack down, leave at 1. I get home at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, no, I can't do that. I said, I'm sorry, it's just too far for me.
Yeah.
So
it's what it is, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah. So that's the kind of, I guess, the logistics. For me also, let's be honest, the money's got to be okay to a point. if there's nothing else to be gotten out of it.
Yeah.
But I did like a jazz gig last week, or a couple of weeks ago, as I mentioned, and jazz gigs don't pay that well. Not if it's a door. We're not on a guaranteed fee. We're on door take, so it's a ticket sale thing. Can we generate people to come down? Have people heard us enough? Do they want to hear us again? And it was quite nice. We had quite a nice turnout actually. And of all the gigs I've done at that particular club, it was one of my better paid ones.
Oh,
but I also wanted to keep my jazz chops in, and I wanted to be playing live, and they're great players, so I wanted to be playing the gig, and I also wanted to video the gig so that I could review my own playing and generate some social media content. And
paying you in other ways, then, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
It's
so
doing
it's
other things.
what's the gig bringing to me, other than asset wise, other than just paying the bills, you know. So broadly speaking, yeah. I mean, a friend of mine is an MD, asked me to go to Ipswich, which was like a 3.5 hour drive, and I do it for him because he's a great guy. And although he wasn't on the gig, it's an original artist that I've played with before, meeting new players, and the money was good, so it was worth doing. And it's kind of, we had a great relationship on the day with the artist, and I'd like to think that I'll get a call again at some point, you know. So it's keeping up relationships. So I guess, you know, sorry to kind of jump to conclusion for me, Jay, but yeah, that's the things that I need to.
No, I mean, it doesn't surprise me when you're like, oh, there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, because in reality, when you do take a gig, there are so many things which you got to think about.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, as you say, just like, oh, is it how much you're getting paid? But yeah, it's how far is it? Do I have to learn a set? Am I going to meet potential good connections there musically? Maybe you just enjoy playing the music, so that's just a good reason to do the gig in the first place. You know, I'm thinking of something like your Originals band. It's like there's hardly any money in that, but it's such a great time playing with all your mates and music that you enjoy playing. So perhaps that trumps money, you know, or perhaps it doesn't. Perhaps it does sometimes, but doesn't other times. And you know, it's just I've found that it can be sometimes an easy yes, and then other times it's like, oh, I really don't know. And it can be a bit of a gamble, and sometimes you say yes, and then a few days later someone else turns around and offers you a far closer gig with a bunch of people you played with loads. You don't have to learn anything, and it's paid pretty well, and you're like, but you can't really predict that. So yeah, you just kind of got to like make your sort of most well-informed decision in the moment. So yeah,
I think I trust my gut a lot more on stuff like that. If there's something in the back of my mind going, I've learned that, you know, from previous lives when I've been employed in gainful employment and I've been in a management position. I came to realise that all the stuff on paper can say one thing, but if your gut says something else, kind of go with your gut. But anyway, we digress. But yeah, it's good that you say that, Jay, about kind of, there's something in the back of your mind just doesn't quite sit. I mean, I've got a gig. I mean, Harry, just quickly, I've got a gig which is 10 minutes from my house next Saturday, and it's not a brilliant payer. But it's with a couple of guys that I depped for in their previous band. I don't know, 2018. Right. And they've asked me if I can help them out, and very graciously, I think I explained it here before, they offered me 4 gigs because they were looking for a new drummer, and they knew I couldn't do it full time. And as it happened, they got a new drummer who could do 3 of the gigs, but they still offered to pay me for the gigs I'd said yes to.
Right.
Even though they'd got a drummer in. I said, no, guys, no need to do that. No need to do that. But the gig was going to be a worse payer than it actually is for me. But they said, well, look, Matt, if you're not going to do those other 3 gigs, why don't we just make this gig a slightly better pay for you, because we know you're putting the work in, and we've turned you. You said yes to 4 gigs and we're only giving you 1. and it's a lovely relationship and professional, and they're mates, and it's to your point, Jay. It's like it's new wave punk kind of, so it's all of like 80s and 70s kind of fast music. There's a challenge in it for me because I like the challenge. Right now I've got this deadline for a rehearsal. I've got to learn these songs, so it puts me back into practicing my charting, and it's a fairly relaxed atmosphere, and it's a local gig, and it's a rare gig that's quite local that a lot of my mates can come to.
Yeah,
so you know,
nice.
it's that's a nice little kind of story that's come out of that scenario. But Harry, you've had gigs like 6 minutes down the road, so
that was an easy one. And funny enough, when I got there, there's a pub that I'd driven past, so many times. And when I got there, I was like, "Oh, what's it like?" And the guy's like, "I don't really like playing there, but I just thought, it's easy for everyone." I was like, "Cool, it's fine, like whatever." And it was all right, it was, the setup was not great, and I don't think the audience really cared for it. But it was whatever it was, and I was home before 11:30, and I finished playing at 11. So, it's like, it's really hard to kind of knock that. I'm there actually next month again, actually. But then on the flip side of that, I took a gig. I think this gig happened at the beginning of September this year, and I think I took the gig in October of last year. And I was kind of like, not really sort of feeling this gig. Like it was basically not very well paid, and it was basically, well, it was well paid, but for the distance, it was in the Sittingbourne, which is like near, really Brighton. Really, it's not far from Brighton, that sort of way. And it was like a long day, and I said yes to it because they basically didn't have another choice. The whole year, I remember probably talking to you guys about it, just being like, I shouldn't do it. It's a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. And then kind of it rolled around, and at the time I didn't have a whole lot planned for September, and I thought, well, at the end of the day, it is a gig, so I'll just do it anyway. I've said yes to it, so I'm not going to, bail out on it last minute. And in the end, I did it, and it was a great gig, and I was home at 1:30, and it wasn't that bad, and we had a good time, and I thought, well, I'll put some of that money towards a drum show, whatever, so you kind of, sometimes, even if you think maybe the gig isn't necessarily the right thing to do, you kind of maybe you've got it far in advance, you can kind of forecast the month a little bit, and at least you've got something. And there's so many, there's no right or wrong way. I think there's definitely a few guidelines that people should sort of consider. I remember when I was at uni, one of the first sort of things that we discussed, like with some of our drum tutors, which were pros in the game, they were just sort of like, you need to have three things that you've all probably heard. Do you like the music? Are the people nice? Is it a good hang? And is the money good? And if you've got two of them, then you should do the gig. So if you like the music and you're really good mates with the band, but the money isn't that good, well, you should still do it. If it's great music and it's a well payer, but maybe the people are not really that kind of good, well, do it because it's good music and it's in your bit of cash. And the same thing, is it maybe not necessarily your kind of music, but you really get on well with like the band and it pays you kind of good, go for it. So I always kind of think about that in the back of my head. I've definitely done gigs where maybe the music hasn't really been my bag, but I wanted to do it because I really like that bass player and that singer or whatever it is, and that guitar player, and I know that they play with those guys, so maybe if we kind of build a relationship, I might maybe get called for their gig, and and like maybe it's not really my bag either, or I'm not overly friendly, I don't really know them, but it's 250 quid and it's an hour away, so I think for me there's got to be a lot of different factors. I think the same for you though also, Matt. Like at the end of the day, I just want to play. Like I'm not overly fussed. I don't want to definitely go out and do a gig and drive 2 hours and get 90 quid or whatever, for sure. But
no,
at the end of the day, I always think to myself on a gig, even when I'm like playing Superstition for the 9 millionth time, and no one's listening, or the sound is awful, or all those things, I'm always sort of thinking, well, think about when I next really fancy going to play. I really want to be at a gig. Think about this moment and sort of enjoy that, and just try and enjoy. Even when you are playing that song that you've played 100 million times, try and find something different. Try and enjoy it. Try and try and just maybe
I remember
get over the hump, you know.
Yeah. I
sorry,
remember a similar sort of thing, like to what you're saying. Like, I'm sure we all remember it during COVID times in lockdown where gigs went away.
Well, yeah, this is it.
And
Yeah.
I just distinctly remember sitting there just being like, what I would give to go and play literally any song
Yeah.
with anyone.
Yeah.
And I was just, I don't care what it is. I want to be in a pub with other musicians playing live music and having fun on the drums. And so,
Yeah.
you know, to your point, like going out just to play a gig and enjoying those songs, even though you've played them loads of times, just having fun. And you might be lucky enough to get paid for it as well, which is always a bonus, you know?
A caretaker said to me today at school, and it actually made me think of exactly that. I was leaving school, and he was
park
leaving
there.
as well.
No.
Yeah, you can't park there, mate.
Get that.
He was leaving at the same time, and he was like, "Wow, what a lucky job you have! You know, how lucky are you to be around music all day? You know, or to be teaching music or whatever."
Yeah.
Some kind of comment like that, and I think the same, can be said for gigs. You know, I don't think it's ever lost on me to be sat on the kit and playing, and just being around other musicians, and the whole sort of setup of being in a band and being on that drum stool and sort of playing with people is magic. It's such an amazing thing. So maybe we should take all the gigs. That's what we should do. We should take all the gigs.
Well, you hear these guys. You hear these
Yeah.
guys saying never turn down a gig because I heard Lee Sklar say that on an interview recently.
Yeah.
You always take the gig because you never know who's going to be there, who's in the room. And I thought, well, yeah, but
To some degree.
To some degree, Lee. I mean,
That's all right
if
for
you
you.
yeah, if you were on it, Lee, I'd take the gig because I want to know.
Yeah, all of his gigs are going to be ridiculously paid, and there's always going to be people at his gigs. So that's a fun comment.
Yeah, when you're in the pub round the corner and there's 5 people there, and sort of, it's like.
Well, I think if Lee came to the pub around the corner, he'd still play a blinder. He'd still play a blinder. Yeah. But yeah, it is. That talking about playing songs, not really my bag. That for me is the challenge. Is kind of what can I find in this song that I can really get hold of. If it's something relatively straightforward, and as an aside, that point area about what we get to do, even what we would define as a simple song, simplest song to play, or there's so many people we take for granted that we can do that, and there's so many people either drummers earlier on in their career or non-musicians, the crowd, the audience, non-drummers. What they think we do is magic.
Yeah.
They how do you do that? And they can't believe it, So what we take for granted, they absolutely are astounded by. But if you're in a situation, right, this song is not really my thing, but what can I bring out of the audience when I'm playing it? When you look around the room and you can see people tapping their feet, dancing, clapping their hands, hopefully on 2 and 4, not on 1 and 3.
You never know these days.
Well, you never know. Sure. But people stood at the bar nodding their head. Yeah. And I always think to myself, they're doing that because of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That they are nodding. They're not doing that to a guitarist. They're doing that because I'm providing that.
That's
to the
the
room.
magical thing about.
So even if I go to that
when,
place,
when you start off with the drums, and it's like, it's just me.
Yeah,
everyone else
knows
is
it.
loving this, vibing out.
Yeah,
you're like, there's no one else. So yeah, makes you feel good. Little selfish moment.
I always put a little stop in there as well, and just see if people carry on. You know, put a little stop in there, see what they kind of do. And then you always get that one person, don't you? At the end, you're packing down. I've actually enjoyed that tonight. I wasn't really feeling that gig, but I really enjoyed it. You always get that one guy. It's like, yeah, fair play, lads. That was actually all right. Like, thank you.
Gee, thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm sweating. Broke a drumstick.
that was actually all right.
Yeah, that was actually all right. It's like, oh, you're surprised. Thank you so much.
And funnily enough, I've had a gig where we a rock pub and we played a rock set, and a couple of the songs have gone a bit. Let me say we were kind of on a voyage of discovery, if I'm kind of remembering the arrangement. That's down to me. I hasten to add at some points. couple of, and you think, oh, it's a rock pub. They really know their rock music here. A couple of guys come at the end, they stood there tapping their foot or they're nodding their head, but not really kind of clapped, not really kind of any facial expression to give you any clue of how they feel. They look pretty nonplussed, and they come up at the end and go, "Oh, fantastic, lads! Oh, what a great night! Brilliant. You're one of the best bands here." You're like, right, you could have told your face.
Told your face.
Yeah. But
thanks for the motivation.
Yeah. So even on those gigs where you're taking it and you think, it's not really my thing, or I've learned a couple of new songs for this, and hopefully I'm well prepared, and you're just making sure that, I've had a couple of depth gigs where, and maybe this is a good thing, but sometimes you just don't get the greatest communication with other band members. They forgot, in a weird way, it's a nice compliment. They forgot they've got a depth.
But
they're not looking back and checking. I'm looking at the bass player, I'm looking at the guitarist, keyboard player, whoever it might be, and like no one's looking at me. And you're like, right, we really do trust me then that we're going to stop.
Or you've like made the step that they've played for the 900th time like fun again, and they're into it. I think that's also like a nice sort of compliment of like, I really like when they've really enjoyed it and they seem overly. Maybe to you it's like that was good. That just I think we did a good job. There was nothing maybe overly exciting or special about the gig, but the band are like, wow, that was great. I really really enjoyed that. Thanks for that, mate. That is a big compliment.
If you play the same notes, you're still bringing a different energy. Whether that's higher or lower, you're bringing your energy to the gig.
It's a testament to your feel as well, and your sort of your playing style. If you can do that for sure.
Yeah. And potentially tempos as well. You can play a song at a given tempo for 4 minutes without dragging, or people telling you, you're speeding up. No, I'm the same. You're slowing down.
I had that discussion actually on the weekend of Funky Music. It was the last song in the set, and don't get me wrong, I never want to play Funky Music really again, but
after all we just said,
at the tempo of the record, because I think it's just a bit painfully slow. So we I didn't start it, granted, but we definitely, it was on the more energetic side. People were grooving and moving. Finished. It's way too fast. Wow. They were dancing. They were dancers. Some of the guys in the band it was way too fast. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I totally agree. Certain songs have certain tempos and sort of feels and stuff like that. But to me, if people aren't dancing, then you got to go up. You got to put the energy. You got to be on top of the beat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If people are dancing, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying play it a double time, but I don't see there being an issue. Why would you play a song at exactly 93, when it needs to be maybe a little bit more on that bounce.
105.
I don't know, maybe that's ignorance or whatever, but
no, it's
but then there's the opposite of that, isn't it? Like how you definitely can't play Billie Jean at a quicker speed, because it's just not. It's not the song,
No, that's right. It sits in that pocket, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a conversation itself,
this sort of thing, like speeding up, slowing down. I was on a gig at the weekend, and the guitarist saw her standing there by the Beatles, and it was definitely quite fast. And I was like, he's singing it, it's fine. And he's kind of set the tempo, so I'm just going to go with him, which I think was the right call. But do you guys ever get at what point do you guys go, no, I'm going to pull this back or whatever? Do you ever have a point where you're like, this is too fast, or this is just, it needs to be more like the track? Do you vibe that off of the crowd, with them dancing?
There's a few songs. There's a few songs, I think, where it's there's been a few times where that's happened and I've just been like, all right then, I'm up for the challenge, and it's kind of funny. And I think some bands do that because they want to get through it. I've played very fast versions of Sex on Fire and pacey versions of Mr. Brightside or whatever. There's a few songs in the Digsby set that sometimes a singer can start a little bit too fast, where I kind of come in and immediately start to just slowly decline the verses and just relax the verses a little bit. But not a whole lot often there's been a few times where I've started songs when they're like, it's way too fast. Like, slow it down. You're like, okay, fine, fair enough.
Or the other way. Have you ever started them? I started one the other day. That was
Started
a bit
too slow,
and they've been like, speed up, and I've been like,
Yeah,
This is the track tempo.
This is the
and
tempo,
been like,
yeah.
Can I do it? And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't know.
That
what's
annoys
right.
me when you start playing it and they're like, speed it up. And you're like, literally, I'm like, not to toot your own horn, but you're like, I'm pretty bang on here.
Yeah,
we're arguing about 2 BPM.
Yeah.
And then they're like, at the end, they're like, oh, it's way too slow. And you're like, here's the record. Like, literally, listen,
Yeah. I'm making up my tempos for if I'm charting and stuff. And then, again, sing the chorus. If you're going to don't think about
always
singing
sing the song. Always sing the song.
Don't try and sing the intro. Sing the chorus, because you'll sing the chorus. That'll feel at the tempo. That'll settle in the tempo, because you're normally 2 verses in a bridge in by then.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm singing the right, that's my starting tempo. I did a dep gig. This is going back a few years, and I had a rehearsal at the guy had his own business, and he had a big warehouse, and we rehearsed in the warehouse. Awesome acoustics. My kit sounded massive. It was great. And it was a great gig. It was up at the O2 in Sheffield, the gig was, and we had 2 or 3 rehearsals. I wasn't full-time at the time. And it's an original band, so it was the launch of their EP at a festival, and we were opening the second stage. And so it was original material, bar 1, I think. And I'd kind of, got my notes, started, we got in, it was going well, second verse out the way, chorus, cool. And then he stopped. He said, stop, everyone, stop. I'm like, oh, okay. And he went, yeah, Matt, you're probably just about 3 or 4 BPM off where you need to be. I'm like, oh, okay. It's one of those gigs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was a proper bit of a shock to me, really. I really thought it was about bang on. And he says, yeah, it wants to be, because he's written the song.
Proper like whiplash.
Yeah.
Were you rushing or were you dragging?
Not my tempo.
Not my tempo. I was like, oh, okay, right. And I was like, okay, just swallow your pride and go, okay, right. So, because so he wants to be 2 or 3 quicker. And okay, let's go again from the second verse. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, oh yeah, much better. That was much better. But you're like, you're just taking a tempo, getting a feel for the song. Guitarist is starting, whatever. Off we go. And he's like, oh, Matt, it's just not quite right. And I thought, I've never, not before then or since then, I've been pulled up for like 3 or 4 BPM. But that's the meat and potatoes of it. Isn't it?
Yeah, it happens. I don't know. Maybe I sound like a bit of an arse if I say this, but I feel like I get more. I don't care if you want me to speed up or slow down. I'm happy to do whatever. But I really dislike it when someone wants you to speed up or slow down for their sake, not for the sake of the song. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
When someone's like, "Oh, you need to speed up. I can't. You need to slow down. I can't get all my my parts in this and stuff like that." But it's like, if the whole band hasn't noticed it, then it's probably not important, Or if, we talked about the whole dancing thing, and also the flip side of that, of when the person that starts a song, you get into the verse and they're like, speed up, and it's like, that's you started the
It's on you.
start the song at the right tempo. If you want it to be, maybe we should nip this conversation in the bud before we start losing all of our gigs.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm fully available. Anyone?
I love counting in. I love counting in the band. I love it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So, sorry, Jay. I think we answered your question about weighing up taking a gig about 20 minutes ago, but we've ended up on a bit of a tip. But I think trying to drag us back onto point. Really,
always swallow your pride, though. To go back to that though quickly, Matt. I think you're right. If that is the case, someone's maybe is hearing something that you're not hearing. So go for it. Maybe you have a discussion afterwards. Don't sit there and
it's definitely not
say
in
no
the moment
or
on the stage or in front of people. You don't want to be arguing about BPMs or whatever, or like pulling up your phone and be like, "Hey, listen, this is
no, that's right.
Just go for it and then discuss it later on. And sometimes you might, you even might be playing, but this is a bit slow. So let's, So there we go. So, yes, we definitely have sped up and slowed down and
we've done all of that.
But also we've hopefully given people a bit of insight on whether we should take a gig or not. I think the answer is probably always take the gig.
If you can take the gig, take it. Unless it feels a bit kind of too far, not
great money,
potentially not great people.
but more importantly, not good music.
Yes,
I would
quite
say
right.
to all of that.
Not good music.
I like what you said, Harry.
and what
That
else-
there's like general like guidelines to kind of base it on. I think that can be helpful for people listening. Like if you're unsure,
Yeah.
you know, those three that you mentioned about like liking the music, liking the people, and it being reasonably paid. I think if you've got that as like a base to go from, and then I think you can factor in other things. I think the stuff that catches me out, I don't think it impacts my decision to take a gig, but it's just like I'll look at it and be like, oh yeah, ticks all the boxes, do it. And then I'll look at the day after and it'll be like, you're in a school at 8:30 the next morning. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done? And I'm like, absolutely dead.
What's around it?
No. I mean, I've had that a couple of times, but to be honest, it's kind of, you know, for me in that situation, the context is I could always go back to 9 to 5.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean. So it's like, you know what I mean.
I'm like, I'll be tired depending on the gig. It's like, I don't mind.
It's
being
not
tired,
really
you
a
know,
factor.
like,
It's just one of them ones that sometimes
No,
you
you're right,
realise,
Jay.
like,
I'm
just
just-
because it
I'm
fits
kind
in the
of putting
calendar,
it late.
you're like, oh, maybe I
yeah.
taken quite a lot.
And just on that point of,
yeah.
Sorry, Jay. And just on that point of the money, I'm not gonna. I'll go first, Jed. So I'm not. I don't think people should be shy. If there's anyone out there who's maybe picking up on what we're talking about and considering taking gigs or not, or whether they're going to just start doing gigs or they've been asked to do a couple of gigs and they're not sure. What I do is I have if it's a text or a phone call, or whatever, or I says, I can do it. Let's say I'm going to take the gig because of it meets most of the criteria. But yeah, or maybe it's a band I played with before, so I know it's going to be fine.
Yeah,
and I know the material. I really specifically, I've had to on a couple of occasions say, if you let me know the address, what time you need me there, what time's loading, what's the venue, what's the fee, and I've kind of being honest, I felt far more comfortable, certainly over the last year, asking about that up front. I've had a couple of times where I've been offered a gig and I've done a gig for a Depp band because I've done one for them before. And I know the money's going to be okay, to be fair, because it's a corporate gig type thing. But the guy's always been a little kind of, don't worry, I'll sort you out. And I'm like, no, well,
no, you want to know what you're coming in with.
I need to put,
at least roughly.
I need to put in the diary to confirm. It's in their TBC. Just need to confirm what time you want me there and what the fee is, and then I can pen it in.
Yeah, I always want postcode and how much for sure. To be honest, most of the people that I gig with, I don't think I've ever been offered a gig where I haven't had either of those. Maybe I haven't got the loading time because it's a little bit far away and stuff like that, and that is what it is.
I think,
I don't worry about that until the week of, but the money and the location, I want to know how far I'm driving and how much I'm getting, really. You know,
and sometimes I'll get like the fee plus fuel. Yeah, and it'll be plus fuel, and that'll be from the singer's house or something because he's the agency, whatever. So I need to. Well, what's that going to be on top? And there has been a gig where I've gone, I could just do with literally like 25 quid more because it's going to help because it's a bit of a distance to cover my diesel. And they go, okay, no problem. So I think that's something that people shouldn't shy. A lot of times I've done a gig and I'm packing up and I'm still thinking, and this is going back a few years now, to be fair. What am I wonder what I'm going to get paid, and now I'm far more comfortable, and I think you shouldn't be worried about asking that question because if then people come say, there's not a lot of money in it actually because we're kind of doing it for exposure. You're like, but I'm depping for you. So and then if the other criteria that we've talked about work for you. And you want to get out and get the experience.
That might be
not
fine.
saying you still take the gig, still take the gig.
Still
but at least you know where you are with it.
But then in that aspect, don't be like, well, here's my hourly rate and here's my experience. Like they'll just be like, all right, mate, whatever, or just get So there's that navigate of you don't want to sell yourself short, but you also want to make sure, like you said, if it isn't ticking the criteria, it's a really cool band, I'd love to debt with them, blah blah blah. it's a bit of a minefield.
And you
as
can
well.
be a
I think
really
also,
nice person in those communication as well. Like, you don't want to just
exactly,
be like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, like, you've booked me for this thing,
Yeah.
and you booked me months ago, and you haven't even told me like how much I'm getting paid or like where the gig is, and just like
100%.
you know, have a go at them because you know they've not given you details and stuff. I think there's ways,
Yeah.
even if it gets to like the day before and you're like, oh, I still don't know where I'm going, like that is a problem. But even then, you know, to not just sort of like flip out at the band leader or whatever, but to just, you know, be a decent human being and just have like civil conversations, you know,
Send a message.
I think trying to avoid like pointing fingers, I think is the big thing, just to try and make it a team effort, you know, is always helps.
Yeah, I think also as well, like sometimes people forget as well, like, oh, that fee's a bit low. Well, they're giving you fuel as well, so like you're maybe getting a slightly less, you know, fee as it were, but they're sort of, you know, basically it always pretty much works out the same, unless you're doing like a, you know, maybe a higher, maybe you could say level quality kind of gig where they've got the budget for a really good fee and to still pay you petrol and stuff, or give you 15 quid for your food for the day or whatever. You know, most of the time, you know, you might have to, if it's a big factor, look into that fee. Okay, well, I probably need to, you know, set myself 30 quid for fuel or whatever, and you know, it's just But like you said, Matt, just ask. You know, if you're really conscious about the timings, then just say, "Sounds great. Can you just let me know what time I got to be there because I got X, Y, and Z on?" You know, or what time am I going to get back because I got to be at school the next day or whatever it is. You know, that communication will be great, because also if you end up saying no the whole time, they'll just be like, well, all right, we'll just go find someone else. But if you're saying, oh, I'd love to, but I actually can't do this one because of X, Y, and Z, you know, there's, oh, cool, yeah, well, we'll give you a shout another time. You know, just always be as sort of transparent as you possibly can.
I agree.
People will remember that, you know.
No, that's all you want, isn't it? You know, plan your finances, understand why you're saying yes and what for. And I think it's just a little bit, you know, you've got just as much right to kind of ask questions about it, rather than people going, well, we're offering you a gig, so you should just say yes and be thankful. Well, actually, it's kind of got to be a two-way street to a point.
Yeah.
As long
it's
as other
difficult
things
as
work
well,
for your
like
favor.
when you are self-employed and you're fully like relying on that as well, like, and that is like a, you know, there's an added element there of like, well, I need to, in some sense, earn a certain amount when I gig. You know, I'm not saying me personally, but you know, just if you are self-employed, you might be like, well, I need to do X number of gigs per month at roughly this sort of payment in order to kind of pay my bills. You know, maybe you're not just doing it at the weekends and you've got your 9 to 5 or whatever. So I think it's always, you know, it's a reason enough for you to at least just be like, oh, you know, can you just let me know what time I need to be there, or what the postcode is, or what the fee is? I think it's not unreasonable questions to ask, especially if you're in 100%. That situation, for sure.
That being said, though, if John Mayer called me on Friday and said I had to quit my job and go to the States, I would do that. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
And if he didn't pay me, that's fine. So... yeah, that'd be fine with me.
Is he paying you fuel?
The depth for Steve Jordan, is it?
No question. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, you'd be the man for it, Harry, no doubt.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, I think
give it a go.
With respect, you're probably cheaper than Steve Jordan.
I mean, if you want a incredibly discounted Team U version of Steve Jordan, I'm your man.
You are the Team U Steve Jordan.
I'll put that on my bio, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Maybe not tag him in it.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
On that note. Yeah. Can you play like Steve Gadd? Well, if you want Steve Gadd, you should pay for Steve Gadd. Yeah. But I think we did kind of answer those questions that you asked, Jay. And
somewhere in that hour we did at some point, I'm sure.
We thought, well, we'll never do an hour on that. Turns out we did.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Normal service. We are back all in our kind of normal positions. We're not at the
normal
drum
life.
Show. Normal life has resumed at a bit of a pace as well, because it's nearly half term already, and we're kind of looking forward to a bit of downtime in between private lessons as well. And hopefully people out there, drummers out there, are prepping for gigs, and you've got gigs coming up. Maybe you're doing session work. Maybe you've got some depths lined up. We'll put some posts out. We'll put a reel out for that. And by all means, chime in. We'll ask a couple of questions in our Instagram, which is at Countess In Podcast.
Yeah, on the YouTube as well.
YouTubers are there. Put some comments on there as and when this comes out, either on Instagram or YouTube. Give us content.
A sub.
Yeah,
I guess we have to say that now. Subscribe and like,
and press the notification bell and all that stuff. Drop a comment with the kind of gigs you've taken and why, gigs you've not taken and why. It'd be good to get some context on everyone out there who's doing, whether you're drummer, guitarist, bassist, whatever you might be doing. Be good to kind of get your perspective on it as well. And if you've enjoyed this, whether you've been listening or you've been watching, thank you very much for sticking with us. And if we've provided you with some entertainment or information that you feel is worthwhile, you can by all means buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Countess In Podcast. You can go on there and select the drink of your choice. I think it's normally a latte, or certainly the number of drinks of your choice.
Flat white, man.
You could flat white, yeah, same here.
I'm a breakfast tea.
By all means, buy us coffee. We'd appreciate it. Yeah, we're working on it. It would keep us going, and it helps support the platforms that we use to get this stuff out to you, and our time as well, because we sit here and with editing to go ahead and record it and all of the social media stuff as well. And it all adds in to our diary for the week. But no, thanks, Harry. Thanks, Jamie.
Guys.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Good topic. Back on it. There'll be some more stuff coming up soon. Until then, everyone.
Look forward to it.
Take care. Cheers, guys.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.